New York City. What?
That's right.
It's Wednesday, April 18th. My name's Kay. Nate Burleson, Kyle Bryant, Peter Schrager are all here. And you know it's a fun day when you're making the case.
Oh, yeah.
Making the case, one of my favorite segments on the show, because I just get to be as entertained as you at home as the boys compete with each other to make the case on something. What are we making the case on today, guys?
The quarterbacks. We're going to talk a little quarterback action, who should go #1 overall, and we each pick the guy. We're going to stand up at the BAM.
Nate, you ready?
You know I'm ready, bro.
It's not even the conviction you have towards a player. It's trying to outdo each other in the antics with making it. It's the best. You got to watch
Oh,
it.
yes.
The players are secondary.
It's nothing to do with it.
Me versus Nate versus Kyle versus Nate versus me versus Nate versus Kyle versus Nate.
Yeah.
Okay, you're the judge.
I know. Oh, no, actually, the people are the judge.
People are the judge.
Oh, they're the jury.
I've
Yeah.
just handed down the winner, so that'll be coming up on the show. Darius Geis is on the show today. LSU running back. Will go early, a great personality. Kyle's favorite guy.
The ball of butcher knives. I love Darius, guys. My favorite player in the draft. He's coming to the table, Kay. Remember this
cannot
remote?
wait.
Here. He's here.
He's in
here
studio.
at the table.
Let's get to it. Time for the lead block.
Lead block.
All right, let's start with Des Bryant, because why not? He told our very own Jane Slater Friday that he felt the Garrett guys, I just air quoted, yes I did, those guys on the Cowboys played a part in his release. And yesterday, Cowboys Director of Player Personnel Stephen Jones responded to those comments. Take a listen as we kick off a fresh edition of That's What He Said. Twice a year and throw up the X. Let's talk about how ugly this breakup can get. How ugly do you guys think it will get?
I actually don't think that ugly. Let me tell you why. Remember when James Harrison left the Steelers and the Steelers all had a lot to say? I don't know if the Dallas Cowboys have that personality. I would love a soap opera, but I think the soap opera storyline that they have mastered is amnesia. What I'm talking about is the so-called Garrett guys, the captains. I don't see Sean Lee subtweeting Dez when training camp starts. I don't think Jason Witten is going to be wearing a Garrett guy's T-shirt to mock him. They don't have it. Garrett, the actual guy, doesn't have it. And the one guy who would be for it, who would be the talking, is Jerry Jones. And he loves Dez. So I love the soap opera, but I don't think we're getting it, Kay.
You know, every breakup is ugly. You know, we love relationship analogies, and, you know, I got a single friend, Darnell, who I talk about often, and when he's talking to a girl, he asks my opinion. I say,
Darnell.
No, I don't think you're right for her. I don't think she's right for you. And he's always like, why? Why are you saying that? I'm like, I'm just keeping it real with you. And that's what this came down to. Everybody keeping it real. We know the number hanging over his head. We know the production on the field.
Yeah.
I'll take you back to my last year in Detroit, where it was injury after injury, and finally Detroit came to me and said, listen, with the number that you think you're worth, we're not going to keep you on the roster. I would hope, now being removed from it, that they went to Calvin Johnson, they went to Matt Stafford, they went to Sue, they went to Glover Quinn and said, do you think we should keep Nate, even if we don't believe he can stay healthy for 16 games? And if those guys are about winning, they should have answered, no. I can respect that now. The thing about breakups is, initially, you're always in your feelings.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, and look, Kyle said that those guys aren't typically talkers. They're not going to subtweet. They asked Dak. He was glowing about Dez.
Of course.
They asked
I love
Witten.
that, my brother.
Oh, he made me the better player. They asked Sean Lee. I'd be terrorized. I would hate to play against him, all this stuff. Yeah. What happens when Dez takes another shot, and Dez takes another shot, and Dez has 50 catches through 10 weeks, you know. So Dez starts having this great season. Or on the flip side, these guys are winning and then Dez is struggling. Like, this is where I want to see it. The day after, the couple of days after, okay, but a couple of weeks removed, is everyone going to be kumbaya, or does someone on the Cowboys say, you know what? We're better off without Dez's crap, you know, or something like that. And that starts coming out because everyone's taking the high road right now.
Jason Williams is not the guy who's like 5 months after you break up, calling, leaving drunk messages on the voicemail. So I don't see that
I don't
happening.
know. Look, when you
Maybe
when
one
you
of the
say,
young guys?
I don't know, Garrett's guys. That's a direct shot at those three men.
Yeah.
You said it was drawing a line.
Drawing the line in his hand. Garrett's guys, the ones with the C's. I mean, it wasn't like he was saying, hey, there's a backup guard here. No. Garrett's guys trashed me behind my back and got rid of me. And they're all saying, we love Dez. Something's got to give here.
Well, he might end up right down the road with the Texans. Texans safety Tyrann Mathieu admitted that he sent Des Bryant messages this week in an attempt to recruit him to Houston. Des would join DeAndre Hopkins and Deshaun Watson to form what would be an incredible passing attack. Here's Hopkins on what he expects out of himself and Watson this year.
I expect us to be the best duo in the NFL, honestly. You know, that's my goal. I'm pretty sure that's his goal. You know, and if we have those goals for ourselves, that's going to help the team, you know, get where we want to get to. You know, but expectations, you know, sky's the limit what that kid can do. You know, and myself, I've only been playing receiver since college, not even my whole life. So I don't feel like I've reached my peak at my position. I'm pretty sure Deshaun would say the same about himself.
Big statement there by DeAndre Hopkins. I got to ask you first, though, fashion perspective. The bucket hat, I'm not a fan of, but is the new, keeping the plastic tag out of the bucket hat something I should be doing?
Everybody talks about popping tags?
Yeah.
That's just basically saying this is brand new.
Okay.
Yeah, swag on 100,000 trillion.
Popping tags.
100,000.
Hopping tags.
Look at that
We're
look.
going to see that now.
Yeah.
All over.
I have something on my Gap jeans that says 32, 34, 32, 34, all the way down. It's that sticker you have to pull off. That's my tag that I pop.
All right, so he's saying they want to be the best duo. They might be. Do you guys think the best duo in the NFL right now is Deshaun Watson and DeAndre Hopkins?
It might be the coolest. I can't wait to see them, but Brady and Gronk are the best duo right now. And I think that duo is kind of thick as thieves right now. Neither one of them were at camp to start for the Patriots, but when they're on the field, that's all that matters. No one's caught more touchdowns than Gronk since he entered the league in 2010, right? I mean, that's not a fake stat. That's a real stat. That's empirical data. Brady's thrown for 30 or more touchdown passes, just once in 10 years before he got Gronk. Now he's done it 6 seasons with Gronk. And then when the games matter most, that Steelers regular season game, back against the wall in Heinz Field, it was Gronk. And then in the Super Bowl, when they needed him most, they lost him in the AFC Championship game. They get him there.
Yeah.
Who carries them in the second half in that near win over the Eagles? It's Gronk. Brady and Gronk over all duos. I love this crew. I think they're young and they're fun, but if I'm rolling with two like it's NBA Jam, the old video game, I'm going Brady and Gronk.
Ooh. Well, listen.
All right, that's a good way of putting it, the NBA Jam.
GMFB Jam.
Yeah,
GMFB
right?
Jam.
All right, Nate, get him.
We got to bring that back.
Get
Now, I have something that I believe is similar to yours, KB, but I'm going to put a twist on it because we're on the same wavelength when we talked about this in the production meeting. Now, I'm going Big Ben. And if you're at home, you're thinking, of course, Big Ben and AB. Nah, I'm going Big Ben and Le'Veon Bell. And I know you're saying we're talking wide receivers or pass catchers, but you went tight end, so I'm going to go with one of the best pass catchers in the business. I'm not just talking about wide receiver position. Now, here's the thing. When you look at the targets thrown to Gronk, when you look at the targets thrown to AB, and the catches that these guys had, it's not as good as throwing the ball to Le'Veon. They attempted catches thrown to him. 106 times, he caught the ball 85 times. You want to talk about elite production, and this is not going to mention what happens when you actually hand the ball off to him. So, duos across the board. The reason why this man is talking about pay me $16 million is because when you throw him the ball, more times than not, on a high efficiency rate, he's going to catch the ball and make something happen.
I love Gronk. Le'Veon's amazing. If it's 3rd and 9 and I'm dropping back and I got to move the chains, I'm going to the guy who's open for business every time, 84, Antonio Brown. Peter started throwing numbers around as usual. Antonio Brown led the league in receiving yards in 14 games. You know, he's had 5 straight 100 reception seasons. It's stupid. And you want to say, oh, the Steelers flamed out in the playoffs. Antonio didn't. He had 132 yards and 2 touchdowns against Jacksonville. He shows up against New England. He shows up against everybody. He is an alien. It is Roethlisberger and it is Antonio Brown, and I do not even think it's close.
I think you guys are wrong. I think it might be, just thinking about everything you just said, it really might be DeAndre Hopkins, who, if he has Deshaun Watson for the entire season, it's uncanny what he can do. What he has done, last year he led the league in touchdowns with 3 different quarterbacks. He, in 6 games, so I know it's a small sample size, so that's why they're saying this and why some people might not catch on. In 6 games, he averaged over 100 yards a game, DeAndre Hopkins did, with Deshaun Watson, and he had 7 touchdowns in 6 games. So extrapolate that, and you, we can't sit here and glow about and drool about the Rams and what they're going to look like, and we haven't seen it at all. Yeah. We've seen 6 incredible weeks and Deshaun Watson coming back and having that experience. I'm here for it. And he was the best. He's the best catch of the year. Remember this?
Oh, it was insane. We just watching glorious slow-mo. Joe Hayden, sorry about that. It looked amazing.
No, I didn't even see it. I was too in my feelings.
It was magical.
Yeah, I just feel like they made each other better. So I feel like they're the best duo, or the one I'm most excited to see. All right, moving on here. A report surfaced earlier this week that Aaron Rodgers is reportedly unhappy with how little he's been consulted about team personnel moves, including the release of his guy Jordy Nelson. Here is Rodgers yesterday responding to that report.
I know my role, and that's to play quarterback the best that I can, and the team is going to try and put the right guys in place, the right coaches in place, the right players in place, and you just have to trust the process. As we've talked about over the years, this process works, and it has worked for Mike for a number of years. obviously that's why he's still here in his 13th season. We've had a lot of success here, and he's got to trust the process.
He says trust the process 4 times.
So hot right now.
Just saying. Rodgers then trolled that report by tweeting in his own team's offseason article. I feel like the title of this article needs more clickbait. Come on, Green Bay Packers. Make something up or talk to some unnamed sources close to me or something to beef up the clicks.
How about those hashtags?
Dalai Lama's a Packers fan, big hitter. Total consciousness, relax. Fake News Tuesday, GB and Snow White, a lot to say.
I'm go back to trust the process 4 times. That's like, I'm in a really good place right now.
Everything's
Sammy,
fine.
sweetheart.
Everything's fine.
What's your reaction?
Sammy, sweetheart. Listen, I look at Aaron Rodgers and the Packers right now. I'm very concerned. I'm looking in baseball, and I'm looking at the early 90s Braves. The early 90s Braves were unbelievably loaded, and they got 1 championship out of it. Aaron Rodgers has been to 1 Super Bowl. He's probably the greatest quarterback I've ever seen. At some point, the frustration has to sit in. Now, I will say this in the Packers' defense. They'd changed things up. New GM. They bring in Jimmy Graham. They bring in Muhammad Wilkerson. Very out of character. So I think he is trusting the process, but make no bones, I think he's extremely frustrated with the process. It's time to get back.
I feel like Aaron Rodgers is the king of not saying much by saying very little and getting his point across. And that's what he does, whether he's saying relax or he's saying we're going to run the table, or maybe a simple tweet basically sending a message to all the fans saying chill out, don't meddle in our business, but more importantly, sending a message to the team like I hear everything, I see everything. Yes, I'm the face of this organization, and I'm not just an arm, I'm also the IQ of this team. So when something goes down, just run it across my table, because I don't want to see the locker room empty when a guy that Jordy Nelson is not there and one of my favorite targets.
So you think he actually is upset?
I do. I feel like he just wanted to get the message across. He might not be upset because he understands the business. He's been in long enough, but he wants to send a message to the team. Listen, I'm your guy. Run everything by me first.
Does he deserve to know, you think? Like, does Tom Brady get the same?
Yes. There's certain guys in this league that earn it, and it starts with
so
that
when they
ring.
say we're getting rid of Brandon Cooks or we're maybe going to potentially trade whoever,
Talk to your QB. If he's earned it. He has the ring. He has the respect and the resume.
The Rodgers thing, he's such a sarcastic guy. I don't know what to make of it.
Very dry.
So dry. And yet the report comes from a Yahoo Sports report. I don't know how tight they are to the Rodgers or the Packers organization. I can't imagine the GM of the Packers, Bryant Gutekunst, has a great relationship with Yahoo Sports. He's a first-year GM and hasn't been at all these things. Look, this is where it's going to get ugly soon, though. And I don't want to say ugly, but it's going to be across a wrench here because Rodgers' contract is coming up. And you can't pay all the talent and also pay you the most money that you deserve.
$100 million guaranteed.
Sure. I mean, that's what Cousins made. But at the very least, Rodgers is worthy of $33, $34, $35 million a year, which would be the highest a quarterback has ever been paid. Brady takes, what, $20 million?
20-something,
16th ranked.
Been at 8 Super Bowls.
So it's like you can't have it both ways. You either want to have all this talent around you that you have to pay for, or you've got to be the guy and say, I'm going to set the standard and get paid this much. And that contract is coming up soon. They have 2 options here. They can franchise him, and this drags on like a Kirk Cousins situation. They can pay him that money, but if you do pay him that money, you might have to sacrifice some of the talent around him, and you really have to nail the draft. You really have to nail the draft.
Great stuff. Good start to the show, guys. You can tweet the show at #GMFB. Coming up.